Welcome to the University of South Carolina. We've developed a series of short next step videos to walk you through the process of officially becoming a Gamecock, from securing your spot in the class and reviewing your financial aid options, to housing and dining, orientation, and moving to campus. These steps are outlined in the admitted student guide we emailed you earlier. You can also download a copy from your U of SC admissions portal. In this video, you'll learn more about financial aid, what it is, the various sources of aid, the basic types, and how financial aid, along with scholarships and other sources, can help pay for your college education. I'll also talk about the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. It's the only financial aid application you need to complete for the University of South Carolina. So, what is financial aid? It's an umbrella term that can be used to describe any type of aid or money given to students to help cover expenses such as tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, and transportation. At U of SC, financial aid specifically refers to federal and state assistance based on your family income, or what others may call your estimated family contribution, also known as EFC. Families will need to fill out the FAFSA to qualify for need-based aid. We'll explain more about this later in the video. Now that we know what financial aid is, let's look at the three broad sources of it: institutional, federal, and private. Institutional aid is awarded by colleges through scholarships or grants. Federal aid is awarded by the government, and it's based on information reported on your FAFSA. Private aid includes any type of funds that come from outside organizations. For example, a loan from a bank or a scholarship from a community organization. Within each of these sources, there are four basic types of aid: grants, loans, student employment, and scholarships. The advantage of grants is that they don't have to be repaid. The amount of the grant is based on demonstrated financial need. The Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships uses the information submitted on your FAFSA to determine which grants you might be eligible for based on specific income requirements, which can fluctuate each year. Unlike grants, educational loans require repayment in the future, typically after graduation. This includes the amount you borrow plus the interest that builds up over time. Some loans are awarded based on financial need while others are not. When reviewing the amount of loans you are awarded, we suggest accepting only the amount you need to pay your bill. By borrowing less, it may be easier to tackle student loans after graduation. There are several types of loans available: federal direct subsidized and unsubsidized loans, parent loans, and private loans. Federal loans are the most common. They typically have lower interest rates and more flexible repayment options than private loans. Once you've completed the FAFSA, the Department of Education will calculate how much it thinks your family can pay for your college education, or the amount of financial aid you qualify for. Federal subsidized loans are for undergraduate students who show financial need. These loans do not begin accruing interest until you graduate. Unsubsidized loans, on the other hand, are not based on financial need, and interest accrues as soon as you begin using the loan. Most federal loans do not require a cosigner, who is a person such as a parent, close family member, or friend who pledges to pay back the loan if the student cannot. If you are awarded both subsidized and unsubsidized loans, we suggest accepting the subsidized loan first. The reason is because while you're in college, the federal government pays your interest on the subsidized loan. Parent loans are taken out by parents or guardians, and they are the ones who are solely responsible for paying the money back. Families can also choose to take out private loans from financial institutions such as banks, online lenders, and credit unions. When considering private loans, compare several of them, especially their interest rates and other features. Student employment is another great source of financial aid. Students can work up to 20 hours per week, either through the Federal Work-Study program or outside of it. Federal Work-Study is offered to students as part of their financial aid package. Students must submit a FAFSA to qualify for the program. With student employment, the student receives a paycheck that can be used for personal expenses, monthly payments toward their tuition bill, savings, and so on. The Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships works closely with our Career Center to support students looking for both on-campus or off-campus jobs. Now that you have a better idea of the various sources of financial aid, where do you start? The answer, the FAFSA. To be fully considered for federal aid as well as some state aid and loans, you need to complete the FAFSA by April 1st. The FAFSA is a government application that is universal to any institution you've applied to. It is also the only financial aid application you need to complete for the University of South Carolina. Be sure to include our code on the application, 003448. The FAFSA can be found at studentaid.gov, and it's free, so please avoid any website that wants to charge you to complete the FAFSA on your behalf. Before starting your application, both you and your parent or guardian must create a federal aid ID. Your parent or guardian may already have done this if they have a child who's currently in college. Students will have their own IDs separate from their parents. After you submit your FAFSA, you will receive an email from U of SC's Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships to let you know we have the application on file. Again, we will use the information on the FAFSA as the basis for awarding financial aid. The office will begin releasing financial aid packages in early April through Self-Service Carolina. So, if you have not logged into Self-Service Carolina at this point, we recommend doing so. Instructions are included in your admitted student guide. An email will be sent to the address on your FAFSA as well as your U of SC address, notifying you that your financial aid package has been awarded. Here are a few tips to keep in mind when completing the FAFSA. Apply early online or via the My Student Aid mobile app. You can also complete a paper application, but these typically take longer to process. The sooner you complete the FAFSA, the more aid you might be eligible to receive. And remember, the deadline is April 1st. Gather all the forms and information you'll need ahead of time. This includes important documents like W-2 forms and federal tax returns from the past 2 years, 2020 and 2021 in your case, your Social Security card, bank statements, and others. The FAFSA website provides a complete list of items to gather before you begin. If you apply online, consider using the option to retrieve your IRS data. This option automatically populates the FAFSA and helps reduce errors. Check your email often to see if you have any missing information on your FAFSA or outstanding paperwork that needs to be completed by the April 1st deadline. It's important to have all the information complete in your file, even if you think you may not be eligible for aid. Circumstances change all the time, and it's best to have your file complete. You will need to reapply each academic year, so make sure you keep records of all the information required on the FAFSA. The last topic I want to cover is the cost of attendance. The figures shown here represent U of SC's estimated tuition and fees, what we like to call our sticker price. These are for the 2021-2022 academic year, which is the fall and spring semester combined. This summer, the Board of Trustees will set the final prices for 2022 and 2023. However, we already know the board has voted to freeze tuition costs for the next academic year, which means this amount will remain the same. The other figures are estimates because there are several different housing and meal plan choices, and books and supply costs vary for each student. But the sticker price gives you a general idea of the cost of attending U of SC before any scholarships or financial aid are applied. Once you receive your financial aid package in mid-April, you'll have a better picture of your total cost. Keep in mind this amount can be further reduced by any external scholarships you might receive. Consider applying for as many scholarships as you have time for. Remember, there are a lot of scholarships out there with few to no applicants. You can view a list of resources and links for external scholarships on our financial aid website at sc.edu/financial aid. Simply click on the Scholarships tab and then Non-Institutional Scholarships. Last year, 97% of the incoming freshman class received some form of financial aid. So it's important to look at your bottom line cost and not just the dollar amount of the scholarships you receive. We understand this process can be overwhelming. Please know we're available to be part of the process with you. It's our job to share information and answer your questions so you and your family can make the best decision. Here's a list of online resources to get you started. Digital Guide to Scholarships and Financial Aid, Office of Student Financial Aid and Scholarships website, Financial Aid TV, Ask Cocky live chat. Also, we have found that when financial aid packages are released, many of your questions are based on your individual situation and should be answered on a one-on-one basis. You can set up an appointment with a financial aid representative using the link below. We're here to help. Thank you for joining me today, and go Gamecocks!